Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. The death toll from the coronavirus pandemic this week passed 200 in Indiana. It continues to climb. Meantime, Hoosiers doing what they can to help flatten the curve by following Governor Holcomb's stay-at-home order. It all adds up to a very difficult time for Indiana businesses, many making tough decisions while also reaching out to help community. A good example is one of the state's marquee companies, Columbus-based Cummins, which is ending the first full week of a shutdown of all of its southern Indiana manufacturing operations. The company has also issued some temporary pay cuts, or cuts in hours and pay, also reaching out to help in the fight against the pandemic. And I'm pleased to welcome Cummins CEO Tom Linebarger to the show with more on those efforts and his perspective on these very challenging times. He joins us via Skype. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Gary. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, I mentioned, let's get to it right off the top, tough decisions faced there at Cummins and at virtually every company of every size in Indiana. You instituted some temporary pay and cuts to hours. Also, all southern Indiana manufacturing operations closed. Talk about the dynamics that led to those decisions.
This is an incredibly severe crisis, as you stated. I mean, the health crisis is overwhelming, and it's, for a lot of our healthcare workers on the front line, this is just an overwhelming challenge. And I think economically, it's also a big challenge. And companies like ours are trying to figure out ways to protect the health of our employees and our communities and still find ways to make sure that we're a sustainable enterprise, because the economy and our communities will need us as the health crisis begins to wane. So those are the balances. As we think about our own operations, we've been in this crisis really since the middle of January, because we have a lot of operations in China, including 10 operations in Wuhan, where the center of the pandemic started. So we've been in this for a while now, and we've been balancing the challenges with, number one, of course, health and safety of our employees at all times, making sure we can operate safely. And then secondly, trying to make sure that we're serving the critical parts of the economy. Our engines go in trucks that deliver food and medical supplies, and so we need to keep some of that going so that we can make sure that those critical supply lines are going. And then third, we've got a number of different government and state orders that we need to comply with. They're not the same everywhere around the world or even around the country, and so making sure we can comply with those is also important. And then demand and supply has been a big variable in this. So obviously demand has dropped off. That's expected given the number of our customers have closed plants, but supply lines are also severely constricted. So all these are weighing in, and as you said, we had to make some very difficult decisions recently in southern Indiana. I will say that is not the best day for a leader of a company like ours. It's a great company, and to send out a notice to your employees saying that you'll be reducing their pay, even though they're working their hardest to make sure the company's succeeding and the community is served, is not a nice note to send out. It's not what you want to be doing, but we needed to do it to make sure that we have staying power through this crisis. So we did it. We did reduce salaries, and we tried to have the biggest impact for the highest paid workers, which I think everybody thought was a reasonable approach. We are closing all of our southern Indiana manufacturing plants by the end of this week. We're doing that out of an abundance of caution. As I said before, we have some critical supply lines to keep filled, but we've been able to build inventory in our warehouses so that we can continue those critical supply lines while we temporarily shut down the plants. We've been operating at a limited production level anyway to make sure that we've got social distancing in our facilities and we're extra cleaning time. And so this shutdown will be temporary, but I think it's the right thing to do, just given the situation we have in Indiana today.
Tom, we don't have much time, but the Cummins has reached out in a number of ways to community, partnership with DuPont, I know, to produce some of these face masks for use by healthcare workers. Talk about, if you could briefly, that outreach to community.
Yeah, it won't surprise you that our employees have stepped up in every respect. Not only are they serving on the front lines, making sure these parts are available and working through difficult conditions and having to reorganize their work to be 6 feet apart at all times, but they've also stepped up in the community. So we have turned a lot of our community activity to making sure that we're helping the communities in and around our plants. So we again, supporting agencies that are providing lifelines to people that are out of work, that are otherwise struggling. We're helping on child care and health care. And then also we are trying to do our part on helping with personal safety, any care workers and others. We've turned some of our filtration technology that we use for fuel filters into potential supply lines for N95 masks. Everyone knows those that health workers need. Those are in short supply, and the biggest the thing that's most in short supply is the filtration media. We've got some very, very good media, filtration media production capability. So we're now working, we've got a license from DuPont, and we're going to start supplying that to mask makers and try to increase the supply lines. We're also working on respirators. One of our joint ventures is working on producing ventilators. So we are continuing to find ways to do our part to contribute to this shortfall of critically needed healthcare supplies.
Tom Linebarger is the CEO of Cummins. Tom, we really appreciate you taking the time in this very busy and very difficult time to join us, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Gary.